Good evening and welcome. I am Amarachi Ubani. Tonight, former central bank governor and emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, again tackles the NNPC, and petroleum minister insists $18.5 billion remains unaccounted for. The House slashes petroleum host community funds in the petroleum industry bill from 10% to 7.5%. Nigerian High Commissioner to the UK laments the indifference of citizens abroad to register with the embassy, as Channels Television CEO leads management on a courtesy call preparatory for the launch of the station on Sky platform in UK tomorrow. And Burundi's President Pierre Nkurunziza returns to the country as his lawyers say that they are in control of Bujumbura.
And on business news tonight, Nigeria consumer inflation rises to 8.7%, even as the nation's GDP dwindles to 3.86% in the first quarter of the year.
On sports news, coach Stephen Keshi invites 26 home-based players to camp ahead of the 2017 African Nations Cup qualifiers.
We begin tonight with more thoughts on the alleged missing $20 billion NNPC funds. Former central bank governor, now emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, has faulted petroleum minister Diezani Alison Madueke's claim that a recent audit report by PricewaterhouseCoopers has exonerated the NNPC of diverting the missing funds. The emir insists that the report has rather confirmed that at least $18.5 billion is still missing. His reaction to the audit firm's report was contained in an article published in the Financial Times of London. According to Alhaji Sanusi, contrary to the claims of Petroleum Minister Diezani Alison Madueke, the audit report does not exonerate the NNPC. It establishes that the gap between the company's oil revenues between January 2012 and July 2013 and cash remitted to the government for the same period was $18.5 billion. A forensic audit conducted by the audit firm on behalf of the federal government indicted the management of the NNPC for various questionable transactions. Part of its recommendations include that the Nigerian Petroleum Development Company, the upstream subsidiary of the NNPC, refund about $1.48 billion to the Federation account for various unreconciled transactions. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has reduced the proposed levy on companies for the operation of Petroleum Host Communities Fund from 10% to 7.5%. The lower chamber made this change as it continued with a clause-by-clause consideration of the petroleum industry bill at plenary. The fund, which is expected to cater to the mitigation of all negative environmental impacts on host communities arising from exploratory activities of oil companies, was slashed, as lawmakers noted that any attempt to retain the 10% levy may have negative effect on future investment in the sector.
Today, all over the world, there are discovery of oil. There are discovery of oil even behind our backyard here in Nigeria and all over. Depending, and we want to make this law to attract investments in the future oil industry. We want to make it transparent, and as long as we did not take care of that, we make a tax or something imposing this in, it will be unattractable in all the industry in Nigeria today. So we have to be very careful in all the tax, because there are all over Africa today. They are investors. The environment, our laws will attract them to come in or to get out of the country. So I want the Parliament to take that into consideration in passing the bill. Whatever tax, whatever amount, whatever royalty we propose, we must take into consideration the implication on the future investment in the oil and gas industry in Nigeria today.
The President of Benin Republic, Boni, has described President Goodluck Jonathan as a true Democrat. He also urged other African and world leaders to emulate him. Mr. Yayale was in the presidential villa today in what has been described as a farewell visit. He said to have spent about an hour with President Jonathan discussing bilateral issues before addressing State House correspondents. He described Nigeria as the biggest economy in Africa and that the peace that reigns in the country after the presidential and governorship elections has made neighboring countries such as Benin Republic to also be at peace. He's optimistic that Nigeria is winning the war on terror and commended the leadership qualities of President Jonathan. Meanwhile, the police has arrested 56 persons for their involvement in cult-related killings in Benin, the Edo State capital. A statement issued by the Force Public Relations Officer, Mr. Emmanuel Ojukwu, says the suspects who were arrested from different locations in the state are currently undergoing interrogation. Mr. Ojukwu said that a special crack squad deployed by the Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase, apprehended the suspects, including 11 men who were said to be highly placed persons.
Cult clashes have claimed at least 9 lives within the past few weeks, a figure confirmed by the Edo State Police Command. But for these youths, many of whom are students of Auchi Polytechnic, membership of the secret cult still seems appealing.
The party was organized by Mafia. It's something that normally comes up every 11th of May, every year that comes up. It happens all over the world. So when it happens like that, we all go there all the time to have fun and go back home. There are souvenirs.
For what?
Meant to share for the school body, the people that came to the party. The boys are already inside, you give them this, then the girls, you just give them this one for telling them thank you for coming to the party.
At the party recently organized by one of the cult groups at the hotel in Yayale on the outskirts of Auchi, things turned awry, leading to the death of a girl.
No, something just happened. They were just fighting. Before I know it, my girl just quickly stand up and shout, "Auntie, auntie, look at what is happening." I say, I quickly drag her. We quickly hide at the back of. They now open the bar. That was where we now hide. I was standing like this. My girl was at my bar. Before I could know it, I saw her on the ground. She was shivering. She was stretching. I quickly shout. They brought water. They pour on her hair. I was holding her. They quickly rushed us to the hospital. On getting there, she gave up. So the doctor said it was kind of shock that makes her give up.
The police reiterated its hard stance at stamping out cultism and urged parents to rein in their children.
No room for cultists. All my advice for them is they should leave Edo State and go to other places. Or if they must stay in Edo, they should lie low. If they bring out themselves, they can be sure that the long arm of the law will catch up with them. Parents should talk to their children. The suspects we have now, I'm not sure any of them can be above 30. But you can see what they have brought onto themselves. So it is the duty of parents to talk to their parents and talk to their children to stay away from vices that could bring problem to themselves.
Membership of a secret cult attracts 7-year jail term upon conviction, and the police say these suspects will be charged in court as soon as possible.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Mahmood Mohammed, says the era of appointing unfit and improper persons as judges is over. He says that the National Judicial Council's newly revised guidelines of appointment of judicial officers, now in the force, provides for a more comprehensive, robust and transparent method of appointments. Justice Mohammed said this during the swearing-in of a new Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice Amiru Sanusi, at the Supreme Court complex in Abuja. He explained that the new guidelines would ensure the emergence of only the best legal minds with high moral standards to serve as judges in the nation's revered temples of justice. Sanusi, who hails from Funtua in Katsina State, was until his appointment the presiding justice of the Enugu Division of the Court of Appeal. His appointment raises the number of justices on the Apex Court's bench from 17 to 18. The Federal Fire Service says it has put out the fire that broke out earlier today at the Federal Secretariat in Abuja. The cause of the fire still remains unknown, but there have been no record of casualties. According to eyewitnesses, the fire emanated from the 6th floor occupied by the Federal Ministry of Education. The firefighters who arrived at the scene 30 minutes after the inferno broke out were able to put it out. Some of the workers at the complex complained that most of the fire extinguishers in the building were not working, making it difficult to fight the fire.
Now, a lot has been saved. We are lucky no life is being lost, but investigations are on to the real cause of the fire. Usually, once there is fire incident, you shut down the lift, and then all the occupants of the building will use stairways to come down. The problem we have here is of crowd control, and we are calling on Nigerians to always respect emergency scenes. When you have emergency situations, you should please leave the scene for emergency services to carry out their job.
As at 1:35 p.m., of course, men were alerted, and within 2 minutes they were here, and they've been able to nip in the bud the fire that happened at the 5th floor.
What was the extent of damage?
As of moment, we could not quantify the extent of damage, but that will be done later on.
In part 2, after the break, our big story tonight focuses on the plight of Nigerians in the face of the prevailing fuel scarcity. Please join us again.